What's up everybody, it's Kiyodo and welcome back to another SMT Dx2 video. Today we're going to be discussing the Devil May Cry 5 collab banner and seeing whether or not the demons are worth pulling on. So I did check out these demons beforehand and it does look like there's going to be some interesting combinations. They do work well together, which is nice, but also it can work well for things like biker teams, for example. And also there may be some anti-fizz here, which is what we really need in this meta. So first off, the demons that we'll be getting are Dante, Nero, and V. They all have 4-star versions, which are not as good. We'll probably be getting those for free, but the 5-star versions are usually what you're looking for because they have the innate unique skills, and also the gacha transferable skills are different. So I'm going to be starting off with the 4-star versions just because they're pretty similar, except that, like I said, they don't have the same innate skills. Anyways, looking at Nero here. Nero has a decent HP stat. Strength is like ants, whatever. Magic is mainly what it's built for. And the agility is relatively okay. It's not like super great or anything. Nothing really strong on the weaknesses, so there's nothing to worry about. You have a lot of slots open, so that leaves you 2 slots to do whatever you want, which can be really good and useful. Though 4-star version, not really that good. You know, this is an elect mage, something that we don't have too much of, and that's something that you might need to cover now if you do have a elect weakness. So not really a big deal with the 4-star version. It's kind of like a pushover here. Looking at Fiend Dante, 4-star as well. The HP stat, relatively high, so almost 1300. That's actually kind of nice. Strength stat is up there at 207, even though it's just the 4-star version. 207, pretty good. Anything at 200 plus, pretty high statage. Looking at that vitality, also pretty high up there, pretty good. Agility is really low, which can be good on your slower teams. Maybe Dante is built for that. Dante tends to be a physical attacker, so that's a lot of the skills that are built into it. And for purple, it has death counter, which can maybe come in handy, but more so on the 5-star version, which we'll be going over in just a bit. Same thing with the weaknesses here. No major weaknesses, so you don't have to cover any of that, which leaves you open transferable skills. Could be useful, especially because the gacha skills on this person are not that good. So moving on to V, 4-star here. V, honestly, I think is going to be one of the better demons out of this set. The HP stat is relatively low, strength stat is pretty low, magic stat is relatively high though, which is good, and agility stat and luck stat are decent enough to work out for certain types of teams that are actually pretty amazing right now. So no weaknesses as usual, so pretty much that means you have your slots open to put whatever you want on them, and that's really useful. Enduring Soul is also the transferable skill, so that's actually not that bad. If you happen to pull it, pretty good. Okay, now let's take a look at the 5-star demons. So 5-star Fiend Nero. Now, this is where we get into the innate unique skills, and we'll be taking a look at those. Again, this is an elect mage. Useful because the statage, really decent, HP is decent, magic is way up there, so that's pretty good. Agility is really high as well, so that's something that you might want to look into. No weaknesses, same thing. It's going to be for all of them, so I'm not going to go over that again. Unique skills though. So looking at Voltage. Voltage, when entering a state of concentrate, increases own party's attack and evac by 20%. That is pretty good. Usually you wouldn't think it's that great because you need concentrate, but looking at its second unique skill, Overture, 7 cost, but when you max it out, it has a MP cost of -1, so 6 costs, you can use it on turn 1. After inflicting elect damage on all enemies, enter a state of concentrate. So basically, there you go. There's your voltage, gives your team attack and evac, so that's very useful, and increases the next magic attack by 125%, just like concentrate would do, and it has elect pierce, so that's pretty awesome. Another reason why you might have to cover, drain, or repel elect with your Alilot or Rama, so that could be a thing, and you might need to watch out for that. However, I do have to say that the base power of 80 is really weak. Even if you concentrate and attack with it again, it's not that strong. 80 base power does not give you that much room to work with, and you might need to throw on other skills. So that's something that you do have to worry about. You might want something like Megiddo, honestly. So the problem with having an elect mage is that Thor exists, and Thor has elect pierce on all the electric skills. So that makes him a lot better in this case, especially for cleanup, which this is more of a sweeper. Honestly, I don't think it's that great, although it can really help your physical attacking units, especially because it has the extra evac on top of the attack. Alright, and now moving on to Dante, 5-star here. So Dante actually looks like a really good demon. Not the best demon, but definitely something interesting, because health stat, way up there, it's really good. strength stat 217, so that's major. Vitality's almost 200, so this thing not gonna die that easily. I think it's a pretty decent tanky unit. Now looking at the unique skills, Rapid Shot is a passive, which is really awesome about this. So plus 20% to Fizz hit rate. Regular attacks will change into the following effect. Now this is a new type of effect, and I think this is really awesome, especially when we see V, which is coming up next. So, Rapid Shot inflicts Fizz damage 5 times on a single target. So I'm not sure if this is going to calculate with multi-hit or single target hits, so I'm not sure if you want to have Assassin versus per se Butcher, but eventually we'll figure that one out and it won't be that bad. Power 20, but hitting 5 times is really good if you're trying to get that crit rate. With the extra Fizz rate in there, not so bad at all. I don't think you'll be missing that often, hopefully. So you're going to have to build into some accuracy, especially because it's a slower unit, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. So you hit 5 times on a single target, 25% crit rate, 20% Fizz hit rate, and you enter a State of Might. Now it's really good to have that State of Might on your regular attack, because when you hit with a basic attack, that for sure gives you crit rate on the next hit. And that means that you can keep stacking your Million Stab, which is your next unique skill, because Million Stab inflicts Fizz damage 4 times on all enemies. When in a State of Might, you also get Fizz Pierce. So this is kind of a slower unit. Honestly, might work better on a biker team because then you just get that might right away. But you're able to prolong it with your own basic attacks, and that's something that's really useful, especially for longer battles. So increasing the levels on this skill allows you to increase the hit rate, and that's usually somewhat useful. I mean, it's going to have Fizz Pierce anyways, although your regular attacks don't, so that could be an issue. It might be a really good to have Zhao Gonggen on your team, even though it's not on a biker team in this case. One of the main problems I see with this skill is that it's a physical attack, and you know how anti-Fizz is just so huge in PvP right now, that this might not work out that well until after you kill off the unit that stops Fizz attacks. And lastly, moving on to V. Now V I think is going to be the best out of the 3, and we're going to see why after checking out these skills. So the unique skills are actually really awesome. First, we take a look at the stats. HP relatively low, strength relatively low, magic stat is kind of up there. Agility and luck is what we're really looking at, especially because that luck is at 172, and that's super high up there. It's really, really nice to have that. Then moving on to the unique skills. First one is Shadow Shock. This is a passive. Regular attacks change into the following effect. Inflicts almighty damage on a single target. So basically that means you're using an almighty magic attack instead of a basic physical attack, and that's huge because first off, that doesn't trigger counterattacks, and also almighty magic attacks can't miss. So your basic attacks will never miss unless you're using this against 5 elements, which I'm not sure why you did that in that case. Now what's really good about this demon is for the second unique skill that it has, Griffin Bolt. This is another passive, making this character really useful for passives. Just having it on the field is an amazing thing. So when a member of your party deals damage with a regular attack, you inflict almighty damage 4 times on random enemies. So that's a multi-hit. It only has a base power of 30, which seems, it's kind of low. But it's a multi-hit nonetheless, on top of doing a basic attack, which you probably would have had to do anyways because of the way that press turn order works. Basically, having this demon on your team allows you to get a lot more out of your physical basic attacks that you would have just had to use anyways, or maybe just pass through, because honestly, physical attacks don't always work out for you that well. Simply because of Griffin Bolt, I think that this demon is really, really solid. Shadow Shock on top of that, not missing a basic attack, makes it even better. And if it procs with Shadow Shock on Griffin Bolt, you might have an amazing combo on your hands without even having to use a skill, really. This is why I think that V could be one of the best demons on here as a magical attacker and a high luck stat. So even if you didn't want it to be a magical attacker, you could just totally go for some sort of ailment. And ailment's gonna work really well because having 172 luck is way up there, and that's something that should not be overlooked. So I would say that the overall variety of the demons that we'll be seeing in this upcoming Devil May Cry 5 banner is going to be pretty solid. I know for sure that I'm going to be pulling on this for V, but honestly, Dante looks really solid as a physical tank, does a lot of damage, gets that surefire crit, seems to be really useful, especially when you look at the purple. It has death counter and then savage glee as well, but mainly because the death counter, if something hits you, I would assume that it would turn your counterattack into the rapid shot passive, and then that would be really crazy because then you just get a might for free if they didn't kill you. Now if I had to say, Nero's probably the worst out of this group, and it's mainly because Overture isn't that good. Voltage is like kinda okay there, but honestly you probably wouldn't be using Concentrate that much, even if you do have Overture to combo with it. It's kind of a slow setup when you could have other units that could do pretty much the same thing for your buffs. So let me know what you think about these characters in the comment section below. Tell me if you think that these demons are going to be game changers, or which one's your favorites even if it's just for fan base and lore. I want to know what you think. So let's see what the people think about this new banner and how good it's going to be. This hype looks like it's not as hyped up as the Bayonetta banner was, but honestly, it's probably the better banner. So this has been Kiyodo. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Later.